We have a special guest, sharply dressed man. I should ask. I should have asked him where he's from, but we'll get to that in a second. He is a man with 30 years of experience in the banking industry. He is currently the president and CEO of Charlotte-based S Group Consultants Incorporated. And he's on the board of directors of Redemption Holding Company and the newly formed Redemption Bank. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's bring in our guest, Mr. Lenny Springs. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well,
It's hot outside.
It is hot outside. Cool as a cucumber, though. I don't see, you didn't break a sweat at all. Where are you from?
I'm originally from a little small town called Johnston, South Carolina, about big as this studio.
Okay. One stoplight type of town?
One stoplight. The biggest thing in my little hometown now is we recently got a McDonald's.
Oh, man. I used to work, that reminds me of Bennettsville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I worked in the Florence area for a couple of years. And I remember the big news in Bennettsville at the time. They got a cookout restaurant. So that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the Charlotte area?
Oh, 35 years. I actually came here from Atlanta back in 1990.
Okay.
At the time, I was with First Union National Bank. And my banking career got started in South Carolina with a small bank called Southern Bank, about $1 billion bank.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, as you recall, interstate banking laws changed, which meant banks could cross state lines and establish a bank. Well, the bigger banks in Charlotte, the First Unions, at that time it was Nation Bank, wasn't Bank of America. It was Nation Bank, was crossing state lines. And First Union came into South Carolina and acquired Southern Bank. So that's how I got into banking. So was there, South Carolina, Greenville at the time.
Okay.
From there to Atlanta, Florida, back to Atlanta, Charlotte. So I thought maybe I would be in Charlotte for about 3 to 4 years, and here I am, some 35 years later, still here.
What is it about the city that kept you here?
Banking.
Banking. What is it about banking? Like, why the banking industry?
You know, Nick, I kind of stumbled into banking.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, when I was living in Greenville, quite frankly, I thought I was going to have a political career. I was invested in the community, involved in the community with the NAACP and other civil rights organizations, being a community activist, and had an opportunity to take a assignment with the Greenville Chamber of Commerce. They were trying to get a referendum passed to build a coliseum. And in order for that referendum to pass, they knew they needed the African American vote. So they hired me to deliver the vote in the black community for the referendum. And during the course of that campaign, I met a gentleman, the CEO of Southern Banks, Sam, can't remember Sam's last name. But he said, "Hey, have you ever tried banking?" I said, "No, not really. I had a degree in business administration." And I had ran an urban league, which is a community-based organization, which is about social services. So I had an extensive career in the nonprofit world, but had never worked in the for-profit world in corporate America. Met Sam, and the rest is history. Offered me a job. I retired from banking in 2007.
How's that changed your life? You retired in 2007, but it was sort of that. Have you ever thought about going into banking?
Well, at the time, it was Wachovia Bank. Of course, Wells came in and bought Wachovia. And I actually worked for Wells Fargo for about a week before I decided to leave. Took a golden parachute. At the time, didn't know the parachute had a hole in it, so I crashed. So here I am now. And that's when I started my company, the S Group. But quite frankly, getting back to my political days, a couple of years before that, I met a gentleman named Barack Obama.
Okay. I think we've heard of him. He sounds familiar.
And I met Barack out in Detroit, Michigan, I think it was. At the time, Kwame Kilpatrick was the mayor
in Detroit,
of Detroit. Kwame and I were friends, and he set the meeting up. And I really didn't know who Barack was. I mean, he was just a state senator then. So
he had a meteoric rise.
Yeah,
at the time, yeah.
But he said he was going to be president of the United States of America. So fast forward, when he ran, he called me and said, "Hey, come and work for me." I said, "Barack," I could say Barack then because he wasn't president. I said, "I'm supporting Hillary Clinton." He said, "You can't do that. You can't do that." So I said, "Okay." So I started supporting him, and after he got elected, I traveled all over the country being a surrogate speaker for him. After he got elected, he called me up and said, "I want to talk to you. I hadn't forgot about you." So he offered me a position in his administration as a senior advisor in education. And at first I said, no. I said, that sounds like work. But I decided to do it because the position was funding for historical black colleges and universities, ensuring that HBCUs continued to get that Title IV funding, which is financial aid. Being a product of an HBCU, I had a genuine interest in doing that. So I worked in his administration for 8 years.
Now you got to shout out your HBCU.
Yeah.
You got to shout them out. What school did you go to?
I went to Voorhees University.
Okay. All right.
Down in Denmark, South Carolina.
So you have this, the president and CEO, again, of S Group here, consultants. How did you get involved with Redemption Bank?
You know what?
And what is Redemption Bank for those who don't know?
Redemption Bank, we will be, I want to say, the 17th African-American bank in the country. We're 1 week old. Last Wednesday, we took over ownership of the bank. Let me give you a little history. How much time we got here?
Oh, you got time. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't want to talk too much.
No. This is what the platform is for.
Yeah, I don't want you guys putting me out the studio.
No.
I started an organization here in Charlotte called the 100 Black Men of America. We're about mentoring young African-American men, particularly those young boys that come from female heads of household. We mentor them and hopefully dwell them into becoming men. We can't be fathers, but we can be mentors. The 100 Black Men of America had an opportunity to close the bell on Wall Street, ring the bell at closing back in October of 2023, so almost a couple of years ago. While we were on Wall Street, I met this gentleman named Ashley Bell. Ashley stood up and said, "I'm buying a bank." I said, "Yeah, right." So another young lady in the meeting, Judge Glenda Hatchett, whom a lot of folk know because of her television show, Judge Hatchett.
Yeah.
Glenda and I have been friends for years. So Glenda said to Ashley, "You need to talk to Lenny. Lenny's been in banking for years."
And did he know your background and your history?
No. It was just an introduction, He stood up and said, "I'm about bank." Glenda said, "Hey, he's got banking experience. Talk to him." I gave him a card. But it just so happened the next day at the airport, my flight was delayed, his flight was delayed, so we had a chance to just sit and talk. So we talked, and he said, "Man, I'm going to buy this bank in Salt Lake City, Utah." The name of the bank was Holiday Bank, a family-owned bank. The founder and CEO of the bank was getting up in age, and he was ready to get out of the banking business because his daughter was primarily running the bank. So I said, okay. Well, I really didn't think nothing of it. A couple of months later, I get a call from a consulting firm out of Boston saying, hey, we're doing due diligence on individuals to start this bank. Your name has been brought up, and we need you to fill out this IBFR, information for potential banking and board members. So I said, man, do I want to do that? That's about a 50-page long. I mean, they check everything out. Who you are, every page your taxes. They know everything about you, if you fill this thing out. So I said, I'll try it. So I filled it out and really didn't think nothing of it. Well, they came back and said, well, you didn't do this right. You got to do that right. We need more information about your taxes and your tax return. So did that, and during that process, Ashley and I stayed in touch with each other. And then we had to raise, well, first of all, the regulators kept changing the goalposts. First it was about 20 million, went to about 22, then 24, then 26 in order to acquire the bank. So we was out there raising money. Primarily Ashley was raising the money. He and Bernice King. Bernice King, whom everyone should know, is the youngest daughter of Martin Luther King Sr. Bernice is going to be involved in the bank. In fact, Bernice is going to be senior vice president of what we call impact banking.
Wow.
Impact banking. So we made a decision early on to change the name from Holiday Bank to Redemption Bank. Dr. King was all about redemption. He was all about, as you recall, he was assassinated in Memphis, out there helping the garbage workers. Economics. Economics. So the name of the bank will be Redemption Bank. So it's been a long journey, but we put the money together, got approval from the FDIC on June 9th, had our first board meeting June 10th. I was elected vice chair of the holding company as well as vice chair of the bank board.
June of this year, right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
I was looking at the calendar. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So the announcement actually came out last week. And we will officially announce tomorrow, Juneteenth. So you're ahead of the game.
I'm ahead of the game. That's why I had to get you in here.
Yeah. So this station is ahead of the game with the announcement. So the bank will be headquartered in Salt Lake City, Utah. So as vice chair of the board and the holding company, I'll be flying back and forth to Charlotte to Salt Lake City.
You're going tomorrow, right? You're flying out tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but with technology, we can hold board meetings and holding company meetings by Zoom. So, I'm getting too old to be on these airplanes. So, but I'll go as needed.
You're a young man.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I got this question yesterday. I knew what it meant, but I want to hear your answer. 'Cause I feel like there are a lot of people that don't know what this means. Black-owned bank. What does that mean?
Well, for me,
and what does that signify? What impact does that have?
It could be a significant impact to the African American community and the minority community. Being a banker with major banks, banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Truett, Fifth Third Bank.
Yeah.
We have all of those major banks here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Redemption Bank, we can't compete with those big banks. We will be only about $125 million bank, small. I will assure you that you look at the major banks, Bank of America, the Wachovia, That's just one branch from a standpoint of deposits. There are several banks in Charlotte that have much larger assets and deposits, and just in one branch. So we're just a one branch operation right now. But we're in the process of building our technology platform, our digital technology with Redemption Bank, so that when you get your debit card, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when? You get your debit card, you can take the Redemption debit card and go to any ATM and bank. Any ATM and bank once we build out our digital platform. That's the first order for us. Because although we're going to be located in Salt Lake City, Utah, we want you to be able to go to any ATM in the country and bank with us. Now, we're not going to do any mortgage lending. To answer your question, we're going to be looking at small and minority business lending. Small minority business lending. There's a market out there for that.
Yeah.
The major banks, many times, are bypassing those opportunities. We think that we can make a difference with small minority business lending. There are many, many small minority business out here that can't walk into the larger banks and get a loan. That's what we're going to focus on, small and minority business lending and some consumer lending. So I think we can make a significant impact in the marketplace by doing that. If we're going to grow this bank, even if you look at the minority banks in the country, we're still small. Liberty Bank down in New Orleans, which is a minority-owned bank, is the largest black bank in the country. And they're still on $1 billion, $1 billion.
Wow.
But they are the largest. With us being only 125 million, we got a lot of room to grow. I think Ashley and I can grow this bank to become a player in the marketplace as relates to small and minority businesses.
Wow. One last question before I let you go. What would you label this phase of your life? You retired. Your life has been about, from what I'm hearing your story, about circumstance and opportunities that have just come by your way, and you've taken advantage of those opportunities, similar to Redemption Bank. What would you label this phase of your life?
The final hurrah.
The final hurrah. Okay.
And that's a great question. I'm 78 years old. I know I got fewer tomorrows than yesterdays. I know that. If you look at my community involvement, it's been all about equal justice, civil rights, fairness. So now, if I can close that out with economics, then that's how I want to do it. To have an opportunity to work with Dr. King's daughter, Bernice, Ashley, and other members of the board to uplift the community from an economic standpoint. If you look at the banking deserts around the country, and let's be clear, a banking desert is census tracts where there are no banks, no financial services in those census tracts. With Redemption Bank, we're going to have what I think is a great community reinvestment plan to invest in those census tracts, to provide loans in those census tracts.
Wow.
If you look at those banking deserts, 24% are people of color, older people, low income, and people with disabilities. and small businesses. You know, if we're successful in growing Redemption Bank, I'm not going to say if, when we're successful in growing Redemption Bank, providing opportunities for small minority businesses, then yeah, it'll be time for me to get off the stage, close the curtain, go sit on a rocking chair on the front porch.
Do you want to do that? Sit on the front porch?
You know, Nick. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. You know, at some point, you know, you got to know when to try to slow down and enjoy life. That's going to be tough, but you know, I want to enjoy. I got a little small farm down in South Carolina with a nice fishing pond. I want to try to enjoy it a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Lenny Springs, the pride of South Carolina, the president and CEO of S Group Consultants Incorporated here in Charlotte, also with Redemption Bank. Thank you for your time. He's hopping on a flight tomorrow, so we got him just in time before he hops on the flight. Tomorrow's Juneteenth. He's going to be there at Redemption Bank in Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you. We have to have you come back.
Hey, thank you all for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course.
I really do. I was saying to your producers, I watch your station all the time, and so
4 o'clock show. Do you watch the 4 o'clock show?
I will be now.
Okay. That was a great answer right there. Lenny Springs with Redemption Bank. Thank you. And look, you can find that.